Arsenal come from 1-0 down in the dying moments of the game. A goal courtesy of Leo Trossard keeps them in the game. And then they complete the comeback by having an impeccable penalty shootout, showing nerves of steel, not just to fight back and get into the game, but to overcome another defeat, which would have been 9 on the bounce. 9 on the bounce for Arsenal. And look, there's a long way to go this season. Nobody, of course, is going to be writing Manchester City off. Nobody's going to be talking about, oh, their season's over, it's doom and gloom. They're still the favourites to win the Premier League season. But I think there is a psychological edge to Arsenal coming back, showing the determination, showing the fight, showing the mindset to get back into the game. And you saw, listen, fans will play it down now. This is a nothing game, just like people did when Man United won the Carabao Cup. But it isn't. It's significant. It isn't the be-all and end-all. This doesn't mean Arsenal are going to be Premier League champions. This doesn't mean City are going to win nothing this year. But psychologically, it's important. 8 defeats on the bounce up until this game. And I thought, actually, for large parts, Arsenal, I wouldn't say with the better side. I think it was very, very even indeed. First 20 minutes of the first half was all Man City. Then Arsenal took over. And Kai Havertz looked as though he may have gone and cost Arsenal the game, because he missed one good opportunity and then one absolute sitter. You don't get very many clear-cut chances against Manchester City. And then a really good piece of play from City in the second half. Two unlucky interceptions on the bounce. Declan Rice, first of all, then Kieran Tierney. Ball falls to KDB, who plays it through to young Palmer, who scores an absolute weldy of a goal, bends it into that top corner. And then City just looked like they're going to see the game out. And then a new element of football came into play today. Time added on like we've never seen before in the Premier League. And it's correct. For years, I've bemoaned this. Just go and find my brother on socials and ask him. You are meant to get 30 seconds of time added on for every substitution made and a minute of time added on for every goal. That doesn't include any time wasting or injuries or corners, free kick stoppages. So when teams are now making 5 subs each, you've got to add 5 minutes onto a game before you even had an injury. You had a goal or more, you're at 6 or 7 minutes before someone's even been injured. So it's right to add that amount of time on. We've seen so many travesties where games are close, 3 minutes of time's added on, and it's not quite enough, when actually in the second half, 8, 9, 10, 12 minutes may have been wasted through one reason or another. And that really helped Arsenal. But the most important thing for Arsenal in that moment is they didn't get desperate. Go back and watch it again. They maintained their shape. Of course, with the substitutes, they changed it up a bit. Fabio Vieira went out to that right-hand side and I thought was excellent. Saka went on the inverted himself inside slightly, and it caused problems. They kept on finding space. And then a wonderful little drop of the shoulder and shimmy from Trossard. Shoots. Listen, there's some fortune with the deflection, but you could argue there was fortune with the 2 deflected interceptions that led the ball to KDB, which set up Palmer's goal. But you make your own luck in football. But I think when it comes down to that game, you saw an improved Arsenal, who I think are going to get better and better. I still don't think you should be starting with Timber, Rice, and Havertz together. They've got to get used to your system. So you've got 3 newbies all trying to learn the system at the same time. When it comes to Man City, listen, they maintain the ball very, very well. I haven't looked at the stats, but what they have, 60% possession. I'm going to check here, 64% of the ball. It looks about that. Is Kovacic as good as Gundogan? No. They've still got Guardiola to come in. I thought it was a really quiet, poor game today from Haaland, and they didn't really create many chances, but they're still going to be a powerhouse team. But I saw an improved Arsenal. I saw a mentally strong Arsenal today. Now, they've got to replicate that in the Prem for 38 games. They've got to replicate that in the Champions League for, I don't even know how many games you play, 10, 11, 12 games you play in the Champions League. They've got to replicate that. But an excellent curtain raiser for the season. City were never going to be brilliant, but Arsenal showed us one thing today. Arsenal are going absolutely nowhere. They're going absolutely nowhere. There was a notion, there was a thought from rival fans that for some reason Arsenal were going to skulk off into the night quietly, disappear, invest £200 million additional to last year's squad and not be competitive. Not at all. There was fight in the team today. There was determination. But what we saw in that last 10 minutes was the team maintain its shape. They weren't desperately hoofing the ball upfield. They weren't shooting from stupid angles. They weren't wasting possession. They were creating openings and opportunities. If you go just a minute before the goal, there was an opportunity. I think it might have actually led to the corner that the goal came from. The ball got worked into Xhaka, who was in the inverted position, and then he plays it out to Fabio Vieira, but it was slightly overhit. They had a number of those moments where if the final ball was right, they were in. And that's because they maintain shape, they maintain mentality, and they maintain their composure. And it's why Man City have been so impeccable over the past 7 or 8 years. It's why Man United in our pomp were out of this world. It's why Liverpool, in that 2 or 3 year period where they were winning the Prem and the Champions League, it's not just about you can go to the end. It's about maintaining composure, concentration, not sort of the team breaking up and becoming 11 individuals and actually you working as a unit. And that was very, very good indeed from Arsenal today. Going to go to some of your super chats here. Timber and Rice are him. Timber looks sensational going both ways. Rice looking clean, playing those one-touch forward passes. And Odegaard, such class. You know, with Odegaard, I thought Odegaard was impeccable today. Odegaard gets a lot of stick from Arsenal fans about, well, what does he do in big games? If you're an Odegaard stan, today is a day where you turn around and say, when did he ever play good in a big game? You say at Wembley against the treble winners Man City in August 2023, because he was absolutely impeccable today. He truly was. Thank you, Mark, for becoming an official member of the Football Terrace. I appreciate that. AA here says, up the Arsenal. Thank you very much, bro. Dan T says, big up, Terry. Make sure you all hit the like button. Absolutely. Get the like button smashed now. Make sure you're subscribing and that you've got bell notifications turned on as well. Now the Community Shield is a trophy, Arsenal. Trophy is trophy, duh. Listen, I'm not going to be a hypocrite and I'm not going to be petty and go, but it's only a Community Shield. Now, we know it's the lowest trophy that anyone can win this season, but I would still rather be in it and I'd still rather win it than not. At the end of the day, when Man United and Liverpool sit there as number 1 and number 2 in England for the most trophies, that includes Community Shields. When you see Real Madrid's, Barcelona's, Bayern Munich's number of total trophies, they include their nation's Super Cup. It is a trophy. It isn't the biggest one in the world, but it is a trophy, and it should be recognized as one. I wouldn't include it in a treble like Jose tried to do. I wouldn't do that, but it is a trophy, yeah. Liars, no psychological edge. Winning the Charity Shield is a curse. Look at the last winners. There are more cursed than Pogba buying a what? I don't even know what that is. Hernia OT. So listen, when I'm talking psychological edge, I've already stated in my statement, LJ, that I still think Man City are the favourites to win the Premier League. I'm talking about Arsenal going 9 games on the bounce without beating City. Now, they drew in 90 minutes, but they won on penalties. They won the game. That's a psychological edge we didn't lose. That can be worked upon and built upon psychologically for this team. I don't think Arsenal got any psychological issue playing Forest next week or Burnley or anybody at home, probably barring City. I think they're pretty much fine away from home, probably barring City, Liverpool, and I'd probably throw Man United in there a little bit. This will help them, no doubt. Trossard has to start, no questions asked. Yeah, listen, I thought that was one mistake Arteta made today. Trossard should have been starting the game. Havertz, listen, he gets into the right positions. I just don't think he's mentally ready. I don't think he's confident enough to start yet. That's my take. I want to get yours. We don't do losing at Wembley. Champions League in 2024 next. He got a very good record at Arsenal. Arsenal have at Wembley, to be fair. Terry, Arsenal fans better calm down if they celebrate this trophy like crazy and went over there. It's a Community Shield curse. Liverpool won it last year. Look, the thing is, I understand where you're coming from. Some Arsenal fans will look stupid, who said, like, don't celebrate winning the League Cup. They'll probably celebrate winning this. They'll get clipped up. But I think that's half the point. I think they just want to be clipped up and laughed at. I'm not going to return the favor and act like it's not a good win. I'm just, again, too grown for that, man. Too grown. Trossard and Timber looks excellent. You got to think Timber's playing inverted left fullback. Like, how far out of position is that for what you would stereotypically look at him as? Excellent, no doubt. Even game to the end with 11 players playing for the first time. I saw fear in City during the penalty kicks because of Arsenal's doing. Yeah, I thought it was pretty even game. And I think that Arsenal can take some real positives from that psychologically. Like, City won't be shook by this. When I say psychological edge, I don't think City are going to be sitting there just going, oh, God, Arsenal might beat us to the title this year. City will have so much belief in themselves. This is more about Arsenal growing from this position. City are overrated and finished without Gundogan. Now, that's too far, Levy. That's too far. That's too far. That's mad. They're not finished without Gundogan. Crazy. Thank you, Cullen, for renewing your membership on the terrace. That means a great deal to us. Friendly clown is what Michael King says. Well, it isn't a friendly, because today was Declan Rice's debut. Today was Timber's debut. The goal that Trossard scores counts. It's a real game. This is not a friendly. If the game appears under your official appearances for the club, it's not a friendly. It's a competitive football match. 110% it is. Keep it in like buttons. Keep getting your comments into us as well. We're going to get a panel out soon. Brandon's coming on. Sam, Tevin, Jason, all going to be joining us very, very soon on the terrace to have their say. 2 trophies in the bag. Oh, you mean you including the Emirates Cup? Shameless, but I like it. Fair play to you. Arsenal spent 200 million and still couldn't beat City over 90 minutes. Worrying. If you say so, I don't think it's worrying for them at all. But there we go. City smashed Arsenal 3-1. When? Last season. You're still celebrating last year's wins. That's over now. That is over. Was it at Wembley, the place for finals? Then shut up. Yes, it was. It was. I mean, it isn't a final, but it's. Wait, I did see Dowd today. Sorry, that guy gave me jokes. He predicted 4-0 Arsenal as well. That weren't quite right. As far as I'm aware, it didn't quite happen. But there we go. Exactly. Arsenal are now over Man City and have become mentality monsters. Your wish of last season will come true this year at least. Happy for you, bro. Bro, I don't want Arsenal to win the league. I want Man United to win it. Trust me. It's not. I don't want anyone but Man United to win anything. But I can only speak the truth. Really happy with our defensive shape. Rice was positioning himself everywhere. I don't know how Rodri didn't get booked. Trossard will be massive this season. I agree completely with what you say there about the Rodri booking. I am staggered he doesn't pick up yellow cards. And one of them was very early on for pulling a shirt. About 5 minutes later, an Arsenal player did it. It might have been Partey. He was kicking the ball away. But you pull a shirt when someone's attacking and they bypassed you. It should just be a straight yellow card. Crazy. Trossard cannot do the track back like Martinelli. I get that, but when Trossard came on, you're pushing for a goal, so he was staying further up because you were looking to win the ball back. You're looking to entice City in a bit more to try and get their second and have some space when you transition with the ball. So you have to read the game and its current scenario and situation to really assess kind of what's going on in that moment, in my personal opinion. I think you have to look at that. It's very, very important indeed. Last year, Liverpool 3-1, City were the better team. Yeah, I watched last year's game and I thought it was a very even game. And like I'm saying, I don't think this is... Look, Liverpool didn't have a bad season last year because they won the Community Shield. They had a bad year because their defense had a terrible season. They had injury problems to key midfield players and some people aged out. They still won individually. Remember, even in their bad run, they beat City. But we know how good Arsenal are. This was a mental block for them in terms of beating City. They've come back from behind, got the draw in 90 minutes, beat them in penalties. This is going to be good for them psychologically, in my personal opinion. I still have City as my favourites. But if you can tell me why this isn't a psychological boost for Arsenal, please educate me. Please, I want to be educated on this. This is it. It was a great performance for Arsenal. I see why they lost 2-0 to United. Expand. I'm confused. Expand on that for me. I don't know what you're saying. I don't know what you're saying in that, my bro. I don't know what you're saying. Roman here says Timber is the best signing of the season. Listen, he done well today. I think we all got to calm down with best signing of the season yet. Let's start playing some games first. Let's start playing a few games. But you're right, and they said here, he was very good today. There's no doubt he performed well, played well, moved the ball well. I think overall, as you say, a top performance from him. No doubt about that whatsoever. No doubt about that whatsoever. It really, really was. Let's look at some more comments here. No. Community Shield is not a trophy. It is. This is what I say to people, right? We say it isn't a trophy when our rivals win it. But when we sit there and go, well, who's got the most success in England? We add our Community Shields to it. We do. We do. We absolutely do. But there we go. Mark, come back here. He says, I'm saying that because the moment City got physical in the game, they took over and it seemed like they relaxed in the last few minutes, allowing Arsenal to get back into the game. See, again, I don't think they relaxed. They were sitting back. They were being compact. They were trying to stop Arsenal. It was just a good bit of skill that broke a line, created a bit of space. Shot goes in. Bit fortuitous just with the deflection, but that's what happened. If City would have carried on attacking and Arsenal would have countered them and scored, everybody would have said, why didn't you sit back? Why didn't you try to absorb? They had the same tactic they always do at that point. They just lost it. They drew the game, but they just conceded, my friend. That is essentially what happened there. I'm just waiting for someone who's meant to be backstage. One sec. I'm just seeing where man's at because I want to add everyone at the same time. So I'm just doing a little chase up now. One sec, people. There we go. Thank you. By myself today. KJ's on a day off. Had to check in after the game. Afternoon, Terry. Sunday armpit settings. Yeah, I hope people in that stadium had their deodorant on. I'll tell you, because it's always nasty when people don't. FA changed the rules to allow refs to be more lenient towards tackles. We will see less cards for tackles in general, but more for arguments from players. Well, that's Bruno Fernandes in loads of trouble then, isn't it? That's him in trouble. Yeah, I still think, though, pulling on someone's shirt when it's a counter-attack should be a yellow card. I stand by that. Nothing will change my mind. Carl here says MLS Skills Challenge, Emirates Cup, Community Shield, Arsenal pre-season treble winners. That's actually quite funny. I like that. It's shameless. But it is a little bit funny. A little bit funny indeed. There we go. And just seeing pictures coming through now. Declan Rice, another trophy for him. Another trophy. So Declan Rice has 2 trophies. How many Harry Kane got? That's why Harry Kane's got to leave. Because Declan Rice has got more trophies than him now. Declan Rice, can you believe it? Right, I'm bringing out my panel. Keep the member chats and super chats coming, people. Panel time now on the show. I want to get them out here to have their say. Sam, Tevin, we've got Jason, we've got Brandon as well. Hit the like and share button. Let's do this. Welcome back, boys, gooners. Congratulations. Well done on the comeback today, the comeback trail and winning the game. Brandon, give me your thoughts on the first of all, the win, to come back like that and to grab the trophy and to win the game.
Yeah, I mean, look, Tel, I see what you're saying about the whole psychological edge type thing. I definitely think it will give these players confidence. And the one thing that I did like about our performance today is the never die attitude from Arsenal. You know, we see it in numerous of occasions over the last few years when we go against Manchester City, we concede the first goal and then we capitulate afterwards. And we didn't do that today. You know, we kept going right till the very end. And then you get a bit of luck at the end. And then, you know, you go on to win on penalties. And it just goes to show, never give up. Never give up. And when Trossard came on, I thought he was very good. I thought he actually highlights to me as the player that can do the Gabriel Jesus role while Gabriel Jesus is not available. Because he's more of that type of player with the link-up play, and that you just see it when he comes on. We move the ball a lot quicker, and then of course the goal, like you say, it's fortuitous, but if you don't bring Trossard in, you don't score the goal. It's as simple as that. But if we go back to the starting 11, go back to the the beginning of the game, I was a little bit worried about Kai Havertz starting in that 9 role. When we signed Kai Havertz, pretty much every Arsenal fan said, look, we don't mind it as long as he's not starting as our number 9. We've already seen what he can do at Chelsea in that role, and it's not good enough. But in actual fact, in the first half, I thought he held up the ball reasonably well. Winning headers when Ramsdale was kicking long. He was holding up the ball reasonably well. But he also highlights part of the reason why I don't think we'll win the league this season, right? And I'll get into that in just a second.
Yeah, okay, yeah, we'll come back to that in a minute. Because I want to get people's reactions to kind of winning this. From your point of view, Tevin, how do you feel after coming back the way you did, picking up that trophy? Do you think there's a psychological boost that Arsenal can take from this?
Can everyone hear me? Just to make sure.
Perfect, bro.
Yeah. I think it's always good, I guess, to come back against a team that you've been struggling against. I mean, we've been their beating stick for years, so it's good. I wouldn't say it's not going to be like that psychologically boosting, but you need to have small victories if you're trying to climb a mountain in terms of the gap that we've had over the years. I'm not going to look at this and say, oh my God, we finally did it. Yes, but it's just more like, it can be done. We've done it. It took us a while. I mean, we got the game back, but we could take a look at positives. I say defensively, for the most part, I think is probably one of the highlights that we have. Timber was phenomenal. And we were able to keep our shape for the most part. We neutralized Haaland for the most part. I think those are mainly the positives. I mean, going forward, there's a lot of work to do. There are 2 guys up top, in the attacking 30, looking at Havertz and Declan Rice. They're going to take a little bit of time. But as far as the mentality of the squad in itself, I think there are positives to take from it. But it's important to keep a level head, simply because this wasn't a dominating performance. This was us trying to work out more kinks. But I think going forward, I think this is it's a nice game that we had, and it's a good preparation for the season. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, I think that's right. From a neutral point of view, Mo, what was your take on it today in terms of the game? Did you see an improvement in Arsenal at all, or was it just a case of City, like always, they seem to start the season off slowly? What do you put it down to, bro?
To be honest, Arsenal today, they look like the ones that played the first 29 games of the season, which is a good sign for them. I didn't see them miss Granit Xhaka, which is I thought it will happen, but it didn't. If they had a striker, they would have been 2 up already, which is something I saw them creating chances. Bukayo Saka still driving the defender Akanji to the line, not being shy of going at him, which is a very, very good sign, which is something that we haven't seen in the last 10 games of the season. I thought Man City, just for me today, from the Man City perspective, I know they start slow, and I thought Pep today tried something different than how they ended the season, which is the pivot in the midfield. I don't think it worked because they didn't look dangerous at all, and Haaland was a little bit isolated. Haaland and what's his name, Alvarez. Arsenal, they look good, to be honest. Kai Havertz should not have been playing. And one of the things that we spoke about before, and I think we said that when we spoke with you, Terry, I'm afraid of the stubbornness of Arteta. Why didn't he? Havertz did not look great. And Brandon, you were with me when I said that. I'm scared for that. He was stubborn. Havertz looked out of place in many spots on the field. He should have subbed them out, but he chose not to. This is what I'm scared of, to be honest. But Arsenal look good, comfortable. They look like the same Arsenal that played last year.
Yeah, listen, I hear you on that, and like on Kai Havertz, we've got a few new people on the show as well today. We've got Said, who's here with us, making his Football Terrace debut. What did you make of Kai Havertz's performance yourself?
Well, to be honest, I thought the overall performance wasn't bad, but the fact that he had those misses is going to be. There's going to be a magnifying glass on just the fact that he had those misses, because those are 2 very good chances that he had and the fact that he missed them was it's cautionary. You got to look at it now, and I have to think: is he good enough to play in that position again? Like even in when we played him in that midfield spot where he was playing before, running into the back post, much better in that position. But in the front line, I don't feel like he really fulfilled what he needed to do. He hasn't got that killer finish in him to make sure he gets the ball and puts it into the back of the net. And for me, I wouldn't play him in the front line anymore. I think Trossard was the best fit for that position going into this game, and the fact that Mikel Arteta did that just showed that he wanted to experiment with Havertz, which it's a big risk. Experimenting in a game like this where you're coming up against Man City. Let's face it. I know we had games before. We played more games than them in the preseason. We started our preseason earlier, but Man City's still no joke. Like even when they're with their first team and they're all playing at like 60%, they still can beat majority of the teams in the world. So for me, it was a big risk. Yeah.
I agree with you here. We have a super chat that says, when's the parade, Terry? Haha. Come on, you always say City aren't favourites each season. I actually checked last 5 years videos. What changed since you say City are weak? I didn't say City are weak. I still said they're the favourites of the Prem. I don't know what. I respect the super chat, but I don't understand it because I've literally said City are the favourites. They're my favourites. I said there's a psychological there's something psychological for Arsenal to take from this, but that won't be damaging to City. It's more about Arsenal becoming a more mentally resilient team. I've said it about 4 times on this 26.5-minute video so far, my bro, that I think City are still the favourites. Yeah, I don't know where you heard that from, but there we go. Havertz here says, this here from Ike says, Havertz was the better striker today. Do you know what? He probably did put a better performance in than Haaland. In terms of his overall play, was probably better than Haaland's. Haaland was invisible today, just like Man City's fans now, ghosting, like gone, nowhere to be seen, disappeared. However, if he had those chances, he scores. 100%. And that's the difference. And it's about getting that balance right. You know, Haaland could be missing for 95 minutes and he'll score that winner. Where with Havertz, he needs I feel like when you're an attacker, for all the hard work you put in, all the good things you can do, if you're a winger and you're getting to the byline and all your crosses are overhit or underhit, the rest of your play to a degree becomes a little bit irrelevant because your job is to create the chances. When you're a striker, when you're a goal-scoring midfielder, you have to do that. So I get where you're coming from, but I think he's definitely got to do more. This year, I want to put this question out to the panel here. I know we haven't heard from everybody yet, but we will. Havertz is going to be scary once he gets his confidence back. Bruv really looked lost at Chelsea.
No,
what? You don't agree with that, Brandon?
No, and for like I was, kind of saying earlier, Havertz highlighted the reason why I don't think we'll win the league this season because he's not clinical enough. You just pointed it out there, Terry. Haaland could be missing for 95 minutes. If he gets one of them opportunities, he's putting in the back of the net. And I think that's the missing piece of the puzzle for Arsenal. I think that's what we need. Gabriel Jesus and Trossard are very good at linking up players and bringing other players into play. That's part of the reason why we scored so many goals last season. But there are going to be games this season, like today, where, we're going to get very few opportunities in the game and we're going to need somebody to come up and be clinical. And Kai Havertz, if we're being completely honest, should have had 2 goals in that first half. He really should. And, Haaland being missing today, I don't put that down to Haaland. I put that down to us just being so defensively good this season, this game. No, and in actual fact, right? Yeah. This might be a little bit of a wild take for people, especially the big, let's just say not Arteta sexuals, but the top gooners, as Lee would probably call them, right? But I personally think Timber is better in that left back role than Alexander Zinchenko. Because not only can he do what Zinchenko does, but he is also defensively sound as well. He knows that his primary role is to defend. And we look so much more comfortable with that back line today. Whereas if we was playing Zinchenko in that role, I think we would have got exposed a lot more down the left-hand side.
I also think we would have probably created more chances if Zinchenko was in that role. I think it's Timber is definitely better defensively. However, I don't think he's better going forward. Yes, he can bring the ball going forward, but the line cutting passes, the link up between him and Odegaard, it's not going to be the same with Zinchenko. Now, I agree. I think moving forward or later on in the season, if we're going to play against the cities, if we're going to play against, everyone keeps using the Madrids and the Champions League, but if we're going to play against the more gifted teams attacking wise, Timber has to be in that back line because he can give us that versatility. So we're more secure at the back. However, I think more chances will be created if it was Zinchenko in that role, simply because one, ball possession, like retaining possession and cycling possession. I think Zinchenko is a master at that.
I think it's going to come down to, and I want to throw this out to Mo and the panel, horses for courses. Maybe when you're playing the Cities and the Liverpools and Man United away, you play Timber there. When you're up against teams that are going to sit back against you, then you give it to Zinchenko because you've got to break down those low blocks. So, like Sam, like you obviously you're a Liverpool fan, so you see this from that point of view. Is it just about picking the best team for the opponents in front of you rather than having a best 11?
I think with your team, like for you to be like the best team in the league, you need to have versatility, but also need to implement your style of play on everyone. I remember Mo saying this some time ago that the best teams have their style of play and they implement that in every game. But it's great when you have players like Timber who can play left back, right back, centre back, and I believe Timber can even play a little bit of CDM. So just so that when you're playing against certain teams and the tactics, you know, they're either going to sit back or they're really going to pressure you or counter-attack, whatever. Arteta can slightly rejig it. However, this is my only caveat to all of this. As some people have said before, Arteta is quite stubborn. Would he, when he sees a team that he will usually struggle against, will he change it to a point where he's tactically trying to maneuver his way to get the win? I personally don't see it. I feel like Arteta needs to prove himself this season when it comes to that. But it does look slightly good for Arsenal. I will say with this Community Shield thing, I know I always throw out this banter. There's only one team that's won the Community Shield and gone on to win the league since 2011. But it is, for this game, it was psychologically, it was more of, I was listening to the players and the interviews, especially Ramsdale and Rice. They were saying that, yes, after this, they can see, okay, we can actually beat Man City. Now, whether that actually is implemented in the season is yet to be seen, but it does look good for Arsenal. Like, defensively, you lot were brilliant. Brilliant. Saliba, I rate this guy. I rate this guy.
Listen,
You come up, go on, Mo.
Yeah, one of the things I noticed today is that Timber adds this extra element of quickness. He's everywhere, you know what I mean? And I like that. I like to see a player like this. It's a very dynamic player. But in my opinion, you cannot play Zinchenko at the moment when you have someone like Rice and Partey on the pitch, because Rice isn't Xhaka, is not going to be really, really high on the pitch. He's a little bit next to Thomas Partey. So you cannot have three players in that area. That doesn't add anything to the team, to be honest. That's why Timber suits Rice Partey system more, right? Now, if you're gonna train Rice to be high, support the forward, and do all the stuff, yes, I would like Zinchenko. I would like to see Zinchenko there because he inverts. He's a creative player. Timber isn't. The problem with me with Arsenal now is that I think they can do everything that they want, but Arteta has a lot of options. So sometimes he will overthink games. That's what I think is going to happen now. He's going to play Timber on the right, Timber on the left. Zinni comes back. Is it Partey? Is it Rice in the DM? Again, it's different teams. And I will echo what I said before many times. You need to have one style of play, and any player that comes in can play that style. Yes, you change it, but you only change it against Man City. That's all I...
And listen, I think I agree with a lot of what you said there. On Saliba, I wanted to say, I thought he had an impeccable performance today. And he's still so young and going to get better and better and better. We often use this expression, Varane's been called this, Rio was called this, but he's like a Rolls Royce. It's just, he's got that power and speed because Rolls Royces do, but you don't notice how quick it is because it glides and does it with such ease and kind of what's the word I'm looking at? Like it's so debonair in terms of how it moves, and that's what he's like. It's like he's no effort in what he's doing, but it's brilliant and elegant. That's a great word for it. And for me, yeah, again, as a rival watching, I'm looking at him and thinking he's still young. He's probably 3 or 4 years from his peak. If he keeps working hard, if he keeps improving, Saliba, no doubt about it in my mind, could become the best centre-back in the Premier League, if not the world. He's that talented when you look at him because he's good on the ball, great positioning, but he's got the athleticism and speed to go with it as well. When you have that as a combination in 2023, it's a dangerous combination. I want to ask another player as well. I want to go to Jason on this. Odegaard really turned up today as well.
100%, yeah. Odegaard turned up today as well. So in terms of, he's basically continuing what he's done last season, adding in that extra creativity in the midfield, even last season, this season as well. I'm pretty impressed with his performance as well. Yeah, he turned up just like Saliba as well in the team today. So yeah, I'm pretty impressed with him. I'm looking forward for seeing him this season as well. So yeah.
Absolutely. And David's here with us, obviously a rival tuning in to speak to us. What are you here to say, brother? Good to have you back on again. And look at them guns, by the way. Man's in the gym. You can tell man's been in the gym.
Bro, I'm in the gym. I'm telling you, boys.
When David first started coming on here, he had pipe cleaners for arms.
Oh, honestly, no. Genuinely, my arms were so small back in the day. I don't know how I was walking around.
Wait, David, did Chelsea hurt you that bad that you had to hit the gym?
I've been in, I kid you not, the past 7 months, I ain't watched Chelsea games. Every time Chelsea's been on, I've just I was like, you know what, let me put my energy into something positive, because that wasn't positive last year. But no, I came on and I just came on to say that obviously everyone will do their predictions at some point, but for me today was like a good indicator between what I think will be the best 2 teams in the Prem, and I felt like Arsenal showed what they can be, and I felt like City kind of held back a little bit. I don't feel like the Alvarez-Haaland pairing really worked. I don't think they really could have created much with that pairing. But I thought Arsenal handled it very well. I know everyone's saying Saliba had a great game, but I don't think he had much to do. But I think that's a consequence of him just being very good and cutting off all the passes that could have gone to Haaland. But
do you feel like the defense was well structured as well?
Again, Timber I think is a really good signing. He does look very good. Zinchenko, I've always had my reservations on Zinchenko. I've had my reservations with Jesus, and I think we'll see what happens with both of those 2 players when Arsenal fans are screaming for them to be squad players. But I felt like your defense was very well marshaled, and when you started looking good after about 20-25 minutes was when as I've been saying for the past couple of months, Rice is playing as a DM. He's not an 8. He will not be an 8. He's never shown the capability to be an 8. So have him play his best position and have him be a 6. Partey does have the actual ability to be an 8. He does. He shows he's got he's a better dribbler, I feel like, than Rice. I feel like he's got a better instinct of what to do in those areas. But when Rice dropped in and he was starting to play balls and starting to get more involved in the game, you saw the maybe not 100 million, but definitely the high price that Arsenal are paying for him. That's what I felt like. That's what I felt like I saw from Rice today. When Rice went into the position of dropping back deep, that's when you saw the best Rice. And it was this.
You really think that Rice is more intelligent than Partey on dictating a game, leading a midfield from behind to be the number 8? Is that 6? I'm sorry.
I feel like you get more out of the both players when Rice is a 6 and Partey's an 8 than if you do it the other way around.
I completely disagree. I thought if Partey played an 8, you would lose that element of him physically being behind the midfield, protecting everybody. I think you got it completely. With all due respect, David, I think what you're referring to is how he plays for the England national team. Even at West Ham, he used to drift to the left. They used to play pivot with him and Souček, and he used to drift to the left. He wasn't the guy in front of the defense dictating the tempo of the game. Thomas Partey today, every time Arsenal tried to get out of the defense, it was Thomas Partey. You think maybe Arsenal later can be that, but at the moment, I don't think I think you would lose that element of
I
Arsenal
don't-
game
I
if you
just-
put Rice there.
I don't see how you get the best out of your £100 million signing
Yes.
by playing him out of position. That's my issue.
I
But I
agree
think-
with you,
but
but
I
that
think-
doesn't mean I
Personal
compensate. Sorry, but that doesn't mean I compensate for the number 6. See,
That's-
I get what you're saying, but if I compensate, if I force it, what you're asking Arsenal to do is force Rice to play the
Mhm.
6 just to
Can't
get
do that.
out, to get the best out of the 105. But I would rather play the best 11 each in the
Mm.
best.
But
Because
for
if
me- but
Rice
for me,
doesn't have
I
a
don't-
spot in this system for 100 million, you create the best system for him, but do not compensate by taking Partey out of the equation. I think they would lose a lot in that midfield.
No, I'm
if they do that.
not saying take Partey out of the equation. I'm saying play Rice and play.
Flip him.
Tell Rice to mainly be in the 6 and tell Partey to mainly be in the 8. And if they have to swap around during the game, they can do. The good thing about this Arteta team is that they all have the ability to switch into multiple positions. However, that guy up front today, that ain't gonna work. And I'm telling you that now. That ain't gonna work. Today, because it's Community Shield, and let's be honest, even though it's a trophy, none of you really care. He missed 2 chances. Oh no, what's the end of the world? But I'm telling you, when it's 1-1 and you need the guy to step up, and that guy's up front, you're gonna be shivering in your boots. You're
Just
gonna be scared.
quickly, I think
He's
people
not
are
the
being
guy.
harsh.
Do you know the only?
with-
Go ahead.
I
Sorry.
think people are being harsh with Havertz's first.
I was saying the
pass
same thing.
because the pass was a little bit behind him, and he had to swivel and try and shoot.
It got blocked.
I'm gonna ignore that. The second one I can understand. That's when this was Havertz from Chelsea. He was getting chances and he would just either hit straight at the keeper or completely miss the goal. And now I know a lot of Arsenal fans do not rate him. Personally, for me, and I'm saying this as a neutral, I would rather start Nketiah because I know usually with Nketiah, he's not really a good player, but he is quite clinical when it comes down to it. So who's more clinical?
No, he's not.
Who's more clinical? Nketiah or Havertz?
No, again, we need to stop.
I want to go to Brandon on that. Who would you start, Nketiah or Havertz up front?
Well, neither. Trossard.
Option 3, 100%. But
No,
we need to. All right, so we need to stop with the Nketiah is more clinical than Havertz. He is not clinical. We need to stop doing that. Like it's the same thing where I was talking to Robbie on AFTV where it's like, oh, he scored 1 goal in every 2 games. He scored 4 in 5 and then 1 in like 11. We need to stop doing that. It's like the 2016 season with Giroud all over again. Like it's we've got to stop doing that. And if I'm gonna go back to the point where you were saying about the 6 and 8 with Rice and Partey. The 6 in Arsenal is probably one of the hardest positions to play in. I'm not going to say in world football, but in the Premier League, because it's not just about defending; it's also about creating. Everything plays through the 6 before it even gets to Odegaard. It starts at the 6. To shoehorn Rice in that would just destroy everything if he's not up for it. Give him time there, sure.
Why is it being described as shoehorn when you've literally signed what English people, not English people, but like what the Prem would say is probably one of their best 6s.
You have to get used to it, and you're not. So why would you?
But how is it?
Can I weigh in on this, right? Because
you're putting a player who's played his position in his rightful position. I'm confused.
But it's not the same position though. Playing that at West Ham or playing it at England, you're not doing the same things at Arsenal. You're not. You're required to do more, and you're required to do different things. So if he's going to learn, why force him to learn on the fly? And then when he makes mistakes in the biggest stages, then you highlight that he's not as good or makes mistake. You protect.
But Partey also makes mistakes in that exact same position.
Can I just say, right? I do slightly agree with David on this, and the reason why I say that is because is everybody forgetting that Arsenal were actually looking to sell Thomas Partey this summer. So if we had sold Thomas Partey this summer, Declan Rice would have been playing that 6th role. Are people forgetting that?
But that was a mistake, Brandon. We all agree.
I don't understand that argument.
I want to go to some of these super chats here. First one says City fans triggered. Start getting used to it, folks. Says what George says here. I don't know. I can't even see any City fans right now. I don't know where they are. United are the only team a problem counter-attack? Any team a problem counter-attack?
What about
Well, we don't-
Liverpool? What about Liverpool? Come on.
Hello.
Liverpool's counter this season is going to be insane.
Man United don't have a problem with a counter-attack. We have a problem with giving the ball away. That's all our goals but one in the whole of the preseason were us giving the ball away. But even today, Maguire gave the ball away and we scored. Honestly, I'm glad it was the kids playing. Trossard will be key against low block sides this season, is what Akil says. I think you're right. Look, Trossard impresses me every single time I see him.
But he's also massively disrespected by Arteta, by the way, Trossard. And this is where the whole stubbornness comes in, right? Because last season, Trossard was our player of the month in April. And then the moment that Gabriel Jesus came back, he dropped him. And then the same as what Mo was saying, like today, Trossard's arguably been our best player all pre-season. Should have started as the 9 today. He chose Havertz instead. And this is where it's going to get interesting with Arteta, in my opinion, because I think we've got the squad now. Okay, we're missing a striker, a clinical striker, in my opinion, but I think we've got the squad now. I think what it's going to come down to is Arteta as a manager, because I said this on a previous stream. If he's gone out and spent 65 million on Havertz, there's going to be a lot of pressure on Arteta's shoulders to play Havertz week in, week out, because he was the one who went out and bought him. He's got to kind of do that Pep Guardiola thing that Pep did at Man City with Jack Grealish. Brought him in for 100 million, realised he wasn't ready to start, put him on the bench and said, look, I'm going to integrate you into the squad slowly.
I do hear that, but equally, if Jesus wasn't injured today, it would have been Havertz that was on the bench. So
I disagree. I think he would have probably just ended up playing midfield.
Yeah, but Terry, why is Havertz second choice? Why is he not third? Why is he not fourth?
I can't answer that question.
Exactly.
Listen,
that's what Brendan is saying.
Why?
Because of the money.
I understand. I
understand
that.
The guy for 65 mil, have him be a top 3 earner and then bench him.
It doesn't work. You should be able to.
Can I ask the fans a question? Oh, no, actually,
I've got about 26 super chats. I need to get through some of them. I'm going to butcher that word if I try and say it. I know what it says, but I can't say it. I know what it says, but I remember when Lee Gunner tried to say a word like that and he got clipped. I ain't getting clipped. We shot the blue wow with our cannon. Big up yourself, bro. There's that Kai Havertz. Was it misses or saves?
Misses.
It was misses. It was misses.
I defend
Let me ask that super chatter this question. If that's Haaland, is that a goal?
Yes.
100%.
There you go then.
Yeah, but if your goalie saves it, do you say it's a miss or do you say well save keeps?
It depends. It depends.
Yeah. It's what do they say? Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Where's Haaland? Still in Saliba's pocket? He is.
Yeah,
Haaland Skynet got the John Connor Saliba Gabriel job. We matched City throughout. Havertz even did well. Partey boss. Community Shield, least of the major trophies, to be honest. That's true at the end. Very true. Haters, slander, and Havertz need new material, is what Martin's got to say to you guys today. This is true as well, though. Did Foden not miss a better chance? He did. Like, that's the point. Did you guys clap Ramsdale for saving that, or did you go, oh, we're so lucky that Foden missed?
It's a bit.
I'm playing devil's advocate. I think both should have scored. I think Ramsdale in that position, you should score. Ramsdale was a G today.
He was. He saved the penalty, Tell. Come on.
Yeah, you gotta give him his. Hey, that got me excited.
I didn't realize how bad he was until you guys went mad when he saved one against Monaco. And then I went and did a bit of research. I realized man's never saved the penalty, and then he saves 2 in a week. Love how fans mock the Community Shield, yet the 2 biggest clubs in England put it as a major honour. Hold that, as in Liverpool and United. Listen,
the trophy.
We all know it's smallest of the trophies, but fans always play it. Like, I've seen Rio tweet saying something like, I can't even remember how many I won. I love Rio. He's one of my heroes. But I remember seeing you running around. I was at Wembley when you ran around holding it, celebrating, bruv. So that's what I don't like about football. When anyone wins anything now, we always try and play it down like it isn't important. But when all those, like Babs, I bet Babs there today, or I bet Babs makes content about it. But yet he said that he thinks the League Cup's pathetic. AFTV said the League Cup's pathetic. But I bet they're there making content today. It don't make sense. Like, I think that level of banter is dead now, personally. But there we go. That's just me. I'm old. Timber, better defender than Zinchenko without a shoe.
It's
Thank
'cause-
you.
'cause
Oh,
it's-
yeah, he lost his boot. He lost his
his
boot, yeah.
fell off, yeah.
Timber at left back with Zinni at the 8. Thoughts?
Are you trying to get overrun in midfield?
No, I wouldn't.
Well,
I
with
wouldn't do that.
Zinchenko in the 8.
Mate, that's where he's good. That's where
Yeah.
he's good.
That's how he plays for Ukraine. So
It may listen, Manny. I think you might be onto something there. This here from Luke Skywalker, who says, "Come on, you Gooners! Big up, Terry. Thank you. I appreciate that, bro. Good job on winning the glorified dinner plate," is what V33 says. Most important part is that Saliba is so composed, is what Anthony says to us here. You're
Terry,
right.
I got a dip, Terry.
Cheers, Kevin, top man, top fan for
Thank
coming
you.
on, bro. Appreciate it, bro.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you. Ben White stood up today, nullified Grealish. It was a very quiet game for Grealish today, like very quiet from that guy. Kai Havertz needs more time. I hear you, bro. Garbo here says, question, how the hell does Rodri never get booked for cynical fouls? Literally did the exact same thing as Partey straight after Partey, got booked and no yellow.
It's
Yeah,
what you
Gooners,
call
did
the dark arts of being a CDM or defender, where they can get away with just those little niggling fouls. Those ones where, and it's very smart, because when Casemiro used to do it a lot of the time, Rodri did it a lot of the time. Fernandinho did it when he was at Man City a lot of the times. Sometimes Fabinho did it, and you look at them thinking, "Wait, these guys should get at least a yellow card by now." But they will just keep on doing it, and the referee will allow it to go on and to go on. It's actually a skill. It's actually a skill to do it. To be fair,
Even Granit Xhaka,
actually-
at times wouldn't get booked. There's
I
a
don't
lot
wanna
of times when
dwell on
Granit
the ref-
Xhaka would do it.
Yeah, I don't want to dwell on the referee a lot, but to be honest, I thought his personality is so weak that he only
100%.
gave yellows to the players that don't talk back, like Thomas Partey. But the players that talk back, that's why by the way, that's why he chose Alvarez, the smaller personality a little bit, with all due respect to him. He's not a big name. I actually think that's what happened in the game. This guy is always like this. This guy is always like this.
I actually didn't think the ref had a bad game. I thought he did quite well.
No, he did quite well, but for
He did
yellow
quite
cards,
well.
yeah, he did quite well in calling the free kick. But for yellow cards, he was hesitant of giving big names yellow cards for some reason.
But you know what
And
it is?
for
You know what it is?
people
With
in the
players-
comments that are saying it's not a skill, it is a skill if you keep on getting away with it nearly every game. It is a skill.
I'll let you into a story. John Fashanu, a lot of the kids won't remember John Fashanu. If you do remember John Fashanu, he used to present Gladiators on TV. I didn't even know he was a footballer. But I read a segment of his book, and what he used to do was he would get the club to go, right, who's the ref that's refereeing? Just say it wasn't this ref, but just say it was Andy Madley. Andy Madley's the ref. Right. Find out Andy Madley's wife's name. Find out if he's got any family members that are real. Find out his children's name, where they go to school, where they at uni, whatever it was. He'd find out information. Then during the warm-ups, be like, "Oh, Andy, how you doing? How's your wife, Jessica? Oh, how's little Johnny? Is he enjoying the new school that he's gone into?" He would do this. And then very early in the game, he said he'd hurt someone bad. That's the kind of player he was. But because he made friends with the ref, he'd always get away with it 2 or 3 times before getting a booking. So that is a skill. It's a skill of making the referee like you. I'll give you an example of someone no one likes when it comes to, do you ever think Bruno Fernandes is going to get the benefit of the doubt? Because he's a marked man in terms of his behavior. Yet most players do what he does. Loads of players do what he does. Arteta's the other way. Arteta is now a marked man when it comes to him getting booked and his behavior on the sidelines. There's something about him that really triggers referees. So yeah, I think it definitely is a skill. I agree with Sam on that. You guys need to manage a Sunday league team. Shake my head. Can we talk about Foden's miss? Havertz this, Havertz that. I don't rate him, but he did well, is what Laka, the local man, says. You know, I don't think you're wrong. I think he did do some good stuff today, but the chances will matter. Ramsdale.
Can I just sorry?
Yeah, go on, mate. Go on.
Can I just say one thing about that? That super chat. It's just the thing is with Havertz. Yeah, from what I've seen in the preseason and even using this game as proof as well. That position that we were playing him, that kind of left cam kind of position, it's very, very different to what he does if he's put in up top. Because what he was doing for us in those other games was he would creep up the left hand side, and all of a sudden this guy would be at the back of the post and he'd be ready to score a goal. And in those kind of positions, it's good. But when he's up front and he's the main man and everybody's watching him, he's right in the middle. trying to find space in between the centre backs and stuff. I feel like when he gets to space, there's too much pressure for him to be scoring in that position. But when he's creeping up on that left side, and for instance, obviously the MLS All Stars, they're not a mad team in it. They're obviously some amateurs. But the only thing is, yeah, even when we played against Barcelona, like you see him, he just randomly turns up. He randomly appears in the back post and he scores the goal. So I feel like it's not really harsh for us to say that he's not particularly good in the striker position, but I can see possibly there may be some kind of in certain games we can change the tactics to suit him playing in that left side, that left cam kind of position. I feel like that's a better position for him.
I hear you on that. This super chat here from Robert says Ramsdale long balls to Havertz were inaccurate, and we need someone who can actually contest aerial duels. Havertz and Nketiah doesn't. I will say this about Ramsdale: he nearly got caught off his line as well today. And I was being salty today as hell. Every time I saw Ortega between the edge of the 18-yard box and halfway line, I'm like, everyone's acting like Onana is this freak for standing so far off his line. It's very normal. This here says I'm more happy that Arsenal should now have great momentum to start the season than winning the Community Shield. Big up Terry. I think that's very, very fair. Momentum's important. Partey sucked in the first 20 minutes and at fault for the goal.
No, it's Tierney. It's Tierney's deflection though.
No, it was no Partey's at fault for that goal.
Can I just say something?
If he doesn't just run it, if he doesn't just ride on
for the people that are asking why Partey, these are clear instructions from Arteta. If you played football, you know to follow Foden all the way. The fact that he got turned without cover behind him isn't his problem. Players will get dribbled. Today, Rodri got dribbled past about 3-4 times, but he had fouls. Thomas Partey couldn't do it because he was on a yellow card. But it's instructions for him to follow Foden all the way up. Do you think he did it by himself? It's clear.
Mate, 110. I agree with you 110. But yes, he got bypassed, but that's because he's pushing up and there should have been cover and there wasn't. I hear you. Partey was on a yellow card because if he didn't get booked, he would have brought Foden down. That's also true as well. He couldn't bring, and that's why I think booking should be given for those early cynical fouls, because it stops you from doing that late in games. Rodri not getting booked, it's a cheat code for City because it means he's got that foul in him later in the game, which he shouldn't have. With Partey and Rice, we are flat. Rice needs time. But I was going to say that earlier, Carl. Thank you for the super chat, bro. I don't disagree with everything David said at all. I think there's elements of, I think it might be 5 to 10 games until Arsenal get the balance right there, and that's why I think starting 3 new signings together can be difficult. And they did well with it, but I actually would take Kai Havertz out because I thought Timber did good, and have Trossard in the team that's more used to it. And that way you're only really working on a couple of new relationships. You had 3 players into that team and you're working, I haven't done the maths, but you're working on 6, 7, 8 different relationships where they've never played competitively. So you got to get that right. Partey wanted to leave, not as actively looking. This is true. Tell Nico Pepe to stop with this nonsense because Nketiah over Trossard, madness. I beg Palace or any other club gets Eddie off our hands, is what Manny says here. We'll come back to some City ones a bit later. I did want to ask about City. Partey needs to stay. We need to buy a better DM because I see Rice in the 8 role. We can't do 6 on his squad alone if we play Havertz and Odegaard. Yeah, you definitely can't do that. Arsenal pulled a City. Respect the win. Come on, you gooners, is what Selvio says. Enigma here says Rice is not a lone 6. He is a good ball winner and an engine. He is not technical enough. Partey is always be the most important player for Arsenal. Most important. Did you agree with that, Gooners?
Yes.
Partey's the most important player.
I feel like he's in that role as well. He's important because he can do that. Where he's used to the system. He's used to playing in that position as a DM in our system. So I feel like even in the preseason games, Rice played there before as a lone 6, and he looked out of it. He didn't really know where he was on the pitch, and he didn't know where to go, where to cover. So I feel like Partey is very important to staying in that position. And maybe we can try Rice in those positions, but in lesser games, like not important games like that, because
You only have to look at how our midfield dies when Thomas Partey comes off the pitch.
We look completely different as a team.
Yeah.
I have an idea how Arsenal should play to get the best out of the 100 million. And I don't think I said it on the terrace before, but go ahead, Terry. Just do the super chat.
No, go on. Tell us. I'm
To
interested.
be honest, the only way to for now to get the better out of them is to play both of them and have three at the back: Saliba, Gabriel, and Ben White. And now you can play Odegaard and someone else behind the striker. There is no other. I think, in my opinion, there is no other way around. The problem with Declan Rice is he's not offensive enough, and he's not as good as a lone six. So you'll have to play him next to Partey, and to compensate for the lack of presence in the opposition's half, you'll have to play Odegaard and Trossard probably behind Havertz, or Odegaard and Havertz behind Trossard, which is what City did at the end. They played two defensive midfielders and three in the back. There's no other way. Otherwise, they're gonna keep forcing Rice on the 8. He's not offensively good enough, so he will drop next to Partey, and Timber is defensive because Ben White isn't offensive. You're basically defending with 6 players today, what you shouldn't have. That's my opinion.
Mo, don't you think that Mikel Arteta can kind of train that into Rice? Because I genuinely feel like Mikel Arteta can train that into him. He can make him more of an attacking player.
It might be too late, Sad. For that to happen, it might be too late. The thing about it, when Pep Guardiola changed the way they play to 2 behind the striker because of Haaland staying in the 18, that worked, right? And he had John Stones next to Rodri. You have a lot of players that can do that. You have Zinchenko, you have Timber. So even if someone gets injured, you can play that system. I know it's copying what Pep is doing, but you bought a 105 million player, and he isn't a number 8, not a number 6.
There we go. This says Brandon Haaland didn't have a shot on goal today, is what Anthony said. And then Laka also said, who is on Haaland's level in this league? It's true.
No one.
I mean, that's true. That's true. But there is better strikers out there than Eddie Nketiah. I would agree with Brandon there. Terry, none of these Arsenal fans on the panel have anything positive to say. When we win, they find fault. When we lose, they find fault.
Nah, I disagree with that. Come on, man. Community issue. I mean,
Brandon definitely. Brandon 100%. You know, Lee Gunner's son. We know that, right?
Nothing positive to say, Tel. Nothing at all. No.
I appreciate the super chat, bro. Had Casemiro done what Rodri did, straight life ban, I agree. 100%. He'd be in prison right now. We need a better box-to-box 8 to keep Partey and Rice rotate the 6. We need a forward, right winger, striker, and Raya. I think that means to try and win.
You don't need Raya. You really don't. You just
You
saw
don't
what
rate him?
Ramsdale did. No, it's not that I don't rate him. I just don't see the positives in bringing him in.
He's not a
I
massive
see-
upgrade
I do.
on
I can answer this
Ramsdale.
one.
I don't get
Go
it.
on,
He's
go
not a
on,
massive
Brandon.
upgrade.
Give us your thoughts. Make sure it's positive.
David Raya's distribution is a lot better than Aaron Ramsdale's. Oh, hang on. People in the comments will be saying, oh, don't be negative on Ramsdale. But in all honesty, no, seriously, David Raya's distribution is a lot better than Ramsdale. So in these type of games like today, where we don't have the majority of the possession and we're under pressure, you can isolate your wingers better at 1v1 against the opposition's defenders, because your goalkeeper, like Onana at Manchester United, 9 times out of 10 with them long balls will find that player and I'll be able to isolate him 1v1. Ramsdale, his distribution is all right, but it's not of that level.
I hear you there. What DM should Arsenal go get, though? Any thoughts? Or maybe Zinni in the 8 and Timber at right back, Kiwior left back, and then Partey as the 6. Odegaard. I mean, you've got Partey. I just don't see why you need
like Caicedo all in.
If you get Caicedo, Rice, and Partey, you're just asking for issues, because they're literally all a slight different version of each other. It just doesn't work. It just doesn't.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. Partey struggled in the lone 6 at first, so did Rodri. Every player has to adjust in that role. Rice will be good. Rams being class since the Raya links. True, he's up his game. That's half what it was for. We had another super chat just come through, and then I'm going to ask a question about City. You need to defend like that against City. Against smaller teams, we won't have to. But this City team is the best in Europe or best in the world. Arteta's plan works. That's also true. This isn't the barometer to how that you have to play in 95% of your games. Did City struggle without Gundogan? And a wider question is, does City look as good? Is this typical for them in a Community Shield game? Or did anyone notice holes in the City team today that could be exploited by rivals?
You know, I'm just gonna go first, guys. What I'm gonna say about City is I don't really City are notorious for starting off seasons very, very slowly. So I don't take anything that happens with the game in the Community Shield or the first 5 to 10 games, because City, they turn on when it's the last running, the last 10 games. That's when you see the real City. That's when they're clocked on. That's it. They're doing it. But if they start slowly, we've seen through numerous previous seasons that City can start off slow. They'll still turn it on, and they'll still be able to eventually get over that hurdle and win the league. They've done it countless amounts of times, and they'll still do it again. So I'm not gonna sit here and say, oh my God, City looked slow. They looked like they're off their game. They looked like they're missing players, like they're missing Gundogan. Because I feel like that with Pep, he'll always find a solution. He always seems to find a solution, whether he's bringing in players, whether he's bringing in youngsters. Like it's just he always seems to find a solution. So if they have Pep in that team and managing that team, they'll always have a solution. They'll always have an answer.
What I would say is, I thought Kovacic did all right for City, but you see the difference when Kevin De Bruyne and Phil Foden came on. They looked a lot better, and they attacked a lot better in that second half. So, yeah, I do think Gundogan will be a bit of a miss for Manchester City because he was their captain. He was clutch for them in the big moments last season. It wasn't actually Haaland that came up with the goals in the FA Cup final and Champions League and all that. It was Gundogan. So he will be a big miss for Manchester City, no doubt.
I think Pep was mainly experimenting today, just seeing what can work and what can't. And when you look at a midfield, well, not really a midfield three, but like a Rodri, Kovacic, and Alvarez, there's not really much creativity in that. Like Kovacic is a great player and he can dribble and he's really good at driving the ball, but he's not very creative. And Alvarez is a striker who's also not very creative. So I just felt like City, not that they were playing within themselves, but I don't feel like they properly set up to try and win the game. I think they were trying to see, if we're in a situation where we've got to come play Arsenal and we need a draw or a win, can we do it with this lineup? That's what I literally think was going on. Can we play this formation?
That's it. I guess, David, that's it. He was just nothing. He was like, can we try 4 in the back and 2 and a pivot and Alvarez and 2 forwards, one behind the other? It just didn't work. Yeah. And he's like, okay, I'll bring Foden, I'll bring KDB, and the creativity appeared. I think Pep took the game seriously, but also was trying things instead of playing his best 11.
It's the thing with the Community Shield. It's a nice trophy to win. It is. I'd rather win it than lose it. But it's a game that if you lose, you're not massively criticised for. If he did that in an FA Cup final or a League Cup or Champions League final, you'd be ripped into. You don't want to be doing it away against Burnley opening day of the season because you want to get your 3 points. So it is right for him to experiment. Look, a few weeks back, I did a video saying City could be in big trouble. That was based on if Silva, Walker left as well as Gundogan and Mahrez, and that hasn't come to fruition. They started today. What I would say is if they do leave, because there's still big links to them leaving, I don't think they will, but if they were to and they didn't bring in replacements, there would be a slight issue for City, and that is having the strength in depth, because they're still today able to bring on KDB and Phil Foden. But if you take Bernardo Silva and Walker away from that squad, the drop-off in quality for the next players coming in is massive, because those guys are 2 of the greatest in their club's history. But look, I've said it to a lot of people already. City, for me, still the favourites for the Premier League. I think today was a very good result for Arsenal psychologically to not lose again to them, to come from behind. It will feel nice to go up there and get a medal and lift the trophy. Really good before their Premier League season starts. But to write this Man City team off now, I think he's wrong. Again, most people would say. I think that anyone getting their hopes up that they're going to have a terrible season and sort of fall away and be 20 points off the top of the league title, I think listen, I want that to happen, but that is wishful thinking at this moment in time. Personally, is what I think there. This year says 65 million for Havertz. We could have got 35 million and bought Kane. Or add 35 million and buy Kane. Yeah, but Spurs wouldn't sell him to you. So I get you, but they wouldn't do that. Look, the Gunners did it. Congrats. It took you guys finally grow a spine, is what Debbie says here. Hope you're well, Debbie. Brandon, as Lee Gunner's son, says, get in the bin. Brandon is learning quite well from Lee. He's so negative, he can find a problem with every solution. This year from Carter, he says, great win, showed quality today and great defending. Rivals will say it's pre-season, but both teams were fighting for it today, ready for a new season. Yeah, both teams did play hard. Both teams, you could tell both teams wanted to win by the reactions to the goals and missing the penalties. Like, there is definitely a competitiveness there. But look, I want to thank our panel for coming on. I want to thank all my super chatters, all our new subscribers, everybody who's hit the like button, and our members as well. Back tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. Myself and I can't remember his name, Henry Wright for Straight Facts in the morning. Top 6 show in the afternoon as we start building up to the start of the Premier League campaign. Preseason games are pretty much done, dusted, and over the line. Boys, thank you all very much for coming on. Congratulations to Arsenal for winning today. Until next time, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And I'll see you all again soon.